been asking people to submit keys of like super low keys that are failing to try to understand exactly what's going wrong, because we continue to see these types of comments get popped up that people genuinely think a 10 is an unattainable goal for them. And I just cannot understand it. I cannot see why people would feel this way, considering we know like how many people are simply just farming at that level. We're talking about levels significantly lower than that is causing people to think that because they're failing at this level, that they cannot reach that level, I think is what's really going on here. And this video is going to show that very, very clearly. Let's get right to it. So here in an Arikara 4, only affixes are Tyrannical and the Oblivion affix. We talked on this dungeon a while ago because Harry recorded a 9 where they had the Devour affix. I don't know the names of them, but the one that heals when you fail it, we had that one go off like 50% of the time. It caused like major havoc. This one's the Oblivion one. It's not going to get handled well. I think this might be a big problem, and I'm bringing it up because I think like if you're looking to identify problems with lower keys, I think it's probably going to be the affixes a lot. We don't even need to talk about my opinions on them at this point, but like I do think a lot of people are confused by the new affixes one way or the other, and it's causing havoc. It's causing people to make mistakes that they didn't expect to make, and I just don't think the old affixes would have put them in this position, because most of the mistakes that cause calamity are on bosses. Like the old affixes, they did not impact bosses. So, but all the while we're looking at this, just try to identify what actually you think is the main issue. You know, like we look at the DPS chart and it's not very balanced, but you know, I think for a forward, like this is certainly normal. It's nothing like crazy bad or anything like that. You see like the damage on the boss is very high. Like the boss is getting bursted so severely high. Anyway, here's an example. Like here's the orbs. Just pay attention to everybody handling them. But you see we only got 8 stacks, so that means 2 stacks on the boss. And then kind of as that's happening, we have our first actual death. Let's go back to that. You could say maybe it's just like confusion because of the ads. I think like the person is targeting the ads, but just straight up not moving out of the mechanic that you need to move out of. This mechanic's actually really interesting too, because it takes up a huge amount of space, but it's another one of those staggered mechanics where it gets thrown out 2 at a time before the first one goes out. So you can wait until the second one is thrown out to move from the first one to save space. Now we have a really awkward situation where I think what's happening here is some players are not committing to killing the ads, and you know, the rest are just attacking the boss. It's understandable because the boss is very low, 15 million health. A lot of people probably also don't understand that when they are fixated on you, you are actually able to move away from them and they will never be eaten by the boss. But you know, I think honestly the boss eating them is a foregone conclusion there. That is not why they wiped. Let's go back to look at that. The paladin is like kind of, he's over there alone. You can see his debuff he gets like a poison debuff. I don't know, is that trash maybe? I'm not really sure, but like he's just gonna go down really quick. Oh, there's an actual elite. Oh, you see I missed that the first time around. Look at that. Yeah, so he did, the tank did this before as well. He missed 2 of these elites when the boss is already spawned, and it looks like he missed a 3rd one in the back, now that we go back and look at that. So kind of unlucky, but kind of just really a bad idea on the tank's part to not pull all the trash in this room. Yeah, so you see the elite is actually out there just, yeah, he casts and is attacking the paladin. Okay, so there you go. That's funny. That took me 3 tries to figure out. These are the kind of mistakes I would not expect to make this mistake. Now, partially because I am a tank, obviously I'm going to clear the entire room, but this is not a mistake I would have ever expected to see in a key. I also brought up the affix because you see the boss gets 7 stacks of the affix here. I don't know if that's like the nail in the coffin, considering it dies at sub 1 million, but I think it probably is. I think the affix causes bigger issue than the ads do. I think people all separated and people not committing to the ads. Obviously, like the tank not aggroing the elite trash mob next to it. But you know, the reason I brought it up is because the comment gets made there in the chat that everybody's all spread out, and I think it's partially true. We did have the 2 melee together, and I think he kind of just missed the fact that there was an elite. So maybe they're identifying it now because the paladin says nah 2 pulls, meaning like I guess he's talking about the actual trash over here, and so they're going to correct their mistake. But that is now effectively 6 deaths to this, but there is no death timer, right? So like, do you think that would cause problems? I personally do not. We're going to have a few more deaths now. This is the second pull. Again, like they are just crushing this boss so severely that it's really shocking that they have any problems with it whatsoever. Is that just standing in swirls again? So we died of that again. Okay, let's pay attention to the swirls. I think it's the 2 melee, right? Was it the 2 melee that died this time? Just kind of watch the melee. Oh yeah, straight up just don't even. The one guy at least does try to move a little bit, but they both just like literally stand still in the mechanic. So again, boss is like, yeah, it's pretty much dying. Like to wipe here would be calamitous. 25 million. Look at how fast this is dying with 1 DPS. And again, the orbs are just like heat-seeking missiles. We have a chance to salvage it here, and instead we just kind of take the ads right to the boss. And look at the instant response here. I'm fine to call call it a waste of time. If anyone else is okay, I don't want to shred my gear. Let's go back and look at that again. So here comes the ads there directly behind the boss. This is actually an incredibly good position because there's only 2 players alive that can be fixated. Yeah, 2 on one, 2 on the other, and they both kind of just literally go stack on top of the boss, which is like, okay, well, that's a wipe then. That plus the affix, I mean, 6 stacks plus the actual failure mechanic. Nobody's surviving that, although the Warlock tries. I think if you just like, yeah, kite the ads around for a bit and let the tank continue to DPS the boss, you're probably going to actually kill that on that pull there. So the Paladin agrees that they may want to stop. The Evoker says, I'm not going to leave and catch a ban, but I free anyone who wants to go. How about that? So that's a very, very interesting thing. This is very much like something that would only happen because of the changes that they're making to leaving keys. I really appreciate that. I'm glad that everybody's actually communicating on this topic. It's very healthy to see that. This time they got it. Third try, best try, as Arno always used to say. We're up to 11 deaths. We got another guy just kind of standing in a swirl, but other than that, no problem whatsoever. And they're going to get past the boss, and then, you know, this comment is going to get made. Paladin is going to go ahead and say, continue, question mark, and the warrior says, yes, let's continue. So we run into a bit of a funny situation here, right? Because you have 2 wipes on the boss, there's 12 deaths, like it doesn't look like it's going well at all, but then you look at the timer and you realize you have 16 minutes left at this point. Do you think that that is a timeable key at that point? I think probably most people in this boat would say no, but it's a 4, right? Watch how this actually unfolds. So that's it. They're literally going to get to the end without another death. Like I literally scrolled through this whole thing. There is not a single mistake, not anything else going on. So they get to this point with 11 minutes. It's like, wait, hold on a second. You could definitely still have upgraded this, right? It's actually kind of nuts. Like if we got to this point with 11 minutes on a higher key, I'd be like, oh, wow, this is going to be an easy upgrade. So that's why like the whole giving up early thing is really, really detrimental because it may look like it's not going well, but like it's such an easy low level key that you're able to turn this around to a degree that the timer was never really in question here. Even after 2 wipes of the first boss, they make all the splits you need to make to be able to upgrade this key. And in fact, especially because at this level, everything's dying so quick, they're actually way ahead of that. Let's watch how that plays out there. So we're fighting this trash here. We're gonna just probably go right down the middle at this level. No surprise. I don't know if like somebody gets too close. Yeah, somebody aggroes it maybe. I don't know why or how that happens, but like those aggro and then like the tank is just obviously not expecting them to aggro. So the warrior, I think he gets rooted in the puddle as well. And then that warrior is gonna die there. That's our 13th death now. Here's a pretty good example of probably what a lot of sloppiness might look like, might proliferate like in a 4. I don't know if the tank is like AFK or something like that, but he's all the way back there. We're just gonna go ahead and pull without the tank, gonna get meleeed as a healer. Tank is like back in the action now, or at least one way or the other, threats unified. And then because of that chaos, we're just letting the volleys go. 3 different people who could have interrupted that, and we just let that one go out. These are the mistakes that are gonna punish you in a higher key, but they are not gonna punish you in a 4. So we have count, we have 8 minutes left. This is an upgrade, right? You would 100% think this. Like I said, you would have been really shocked to leave that boss 2 full wipes and actually upgrade this key, but it was in the bag the whole time. The dungeons are just not tuned numerically hard enough for you to be giving up this early in this level key. Presumably recorded after the nerf, the poison is substantially nerfed to the point where this fight should be a lot easier to heal. The affixes though, again, just like the one that Harry submitted, are gonna cause, like I think this is just chaos. I really do. This last boss is probably the hardest low-key boss ever, and I don't know what the tank does there, but he just dies. Let's see if we can figure that out. So we can see the tank right here, right now, trying to run out, and I just don't know if they don't understand the mechanic or what they're looking for right now. There is not a lot of blood workers that are dead. There's only 3 other puddles out there besides the one the Evoker is in, so there's not actually a spot for the warrior right now. Don't know, like people have said that you can just heroic leap, but yeah, I don't see the player. It's kind of blocked by the screen and then just randomly dies without even like trying to do the mechanics. So we do have a battle res, so at the end of the day, we're okay. Poison's still going out, a lot of damage taken. We're kind of like making this even harder on ourselves, like flying into roots and stuff. I really think this has got to just be one of the hardest fights ever made for low-key. Like watch this chaos here. We got poison everywhere. Yeah, literally like just flying through a mess of danger here right into the root, and just like pretty much at this point everybody's gonna die. No combat resist says the Paladin, and we are gonna wipe still 6 minutes. Just like Harry's key, they have plenty of time to wipe here and still continue. At this point, the Paladin whispers the person recording this saying, sorry, but the tank is so bad. They're also actually gonna hover over the character on the way back. That's the player. The tank is 1382. They've triple upgraded to 3 and double upgraded to 2, but in the 4, I guess they just didn't learn much from the 2, and some of the mistakes that they're making are pretty much indicative, like maybe they've never done the dungeon before. So they decide that, you know, we'll definitely give this one more try. The comment gets made, give it until we have Lust. If we can't do it with Lust, then I get it. Basically saying, like, we can still upgrade this, so let's not leave. Did it perfectly that time, though. Everybody gets a thing. And again, like, look at the boss's health. I think this is always the most shocking part about looking at these low keys. We're talking about after the first set of mechanics, the boss being in the 60s. It's actually crazy how fast these bosses can die. I think another big issue in this fight, too, is getting the bloods into the tank, because, like, they do hit kind of hard, I'd imagine, if you're getting meleeed by them. Just, like, handling them properly in general is a point of sloppiness. This is a good example here. We have one blood from the previous set attacking the evoker, and then another one that is rooting them, and we just don't do anything about the root, and we just kind of die to being rooted. Comment gets made. They didn't have a stun that time. Let's go back and look at that. Don't really know, like, everything that's featured on the evoker kit, but I'm pretty sure, like, right here, this is a CC, right? This spell is a CC. I think they even try to, yeah, they do. They click it, and then at that point, it's too late. Yeah, any interrupts, any stuns, any CCs at all work here. People can help each other out with this. Don't know where the interrupt is on the bars. Is it this thing here? I'd imagine, yeah, I think that was it right there, so you could actually interrupt it too. I guess at this point, the Paladin's probably getting frustrated. They said, why always go to the same spot? I have no idea what they're referring to with that. I don't think there's anything to do with, like, the tanking position being done wrong here on a 4. And I think this is ultimately why the low keys are so hard, because, like, mistakes get made, and I think people are genuinely unable to identify what the mistake was in real time, and they're unable to, like, fix it. They don't make any adjustment. I guess a lot of times they're probably just, like, straight up not aware of what even happened in the first place, so they just obliviously kind of continue, and it doesn't happen the next time, so they think they did something better that time. But yeah, they agreed to do it one more time with Bloodlust. This time they lust, so you would think, like, again, bosses should be getting slaughtered here. Again, look at the danger of the affix, trying to do that, plus do the soaking, and yet again, we have the tank just not doing anything. So let's watch that one more time. I have a question for you, though. I have no idea what this is. This must be some kind of trinket or something like that. Tank is turned into a giant, like, spider creature from the zone. Like, what is that? That is clearly not a player model. I have no idea. That's some kind of trinket, I guess. I don't think that has anything to do with it, but maybe there's something I don't know about whatever that trinket is that's causing issues. The warrior, I think, like, the warrior just tries to, like, run away. Like, you can see on the dots, they're very, very close together, and then I identify that's the warrior there. That's the DPS warrior there. I'm thinking that the tank is, like, right here. I think they're just, like, actively trying to run away. I think that's them right there, and then they just, like, kind of just don't run away properly because it pulls you in, and then they're dead again. And so I guess at this point, again, we have no battle res, so we're just going to try to run out and reset the boss. And so now with that wipe, the timer is officially over. So they're now discussing whether or not they want to just give up on the last boss, which seems ridiculous in a 4. Not the tank warrior, but the other warrior says, let's end this. The paladin says, last try for me. The warrior says, don't give up. Yeah, for real. I mean, at this point, you guys got a lot to learn. And I think that's maybe the biggest issue of all the stuff we've seen here is just kind of a hesitancy to be learning and a hesitancy to improve. I'm sure it can be frustrating if you feel like you're in a group with somebody who is substantially less knowledgeable than you, but, you know, at the end of the day, it's a 4. I can see this if we're talking about a 14. So obviously, the guy's already done it too. I think that's the most interesting part about that character is that the person has already done a 2. They double upgraded to 2. So, like, if you just look at that from, like, a factual standpoint, they should have gone from a double upgraded 2 right to a 4, right? Now, maybe, but this just popped in my head too, but the fact that they only double upgraded the 2 perhaps could have been because of something that they made a big error on in the 2 as well, but because, you know, the difficulty of the dungeon is as such, they were still able to plow through it and double upgrade it. I assume that at this point, the tank is unaware of this mechanic. It's really, really hard to see from this perspective because we're playing a healer and we're, like, turning the camera away as soon as we run out, but just try to keep an eye on the warrior here. I'm not really sure. Yeah, now they're kind of tanking this corner. I don't know if that was under duress from the paladin or something, but we just don't see, like, I can see the dot underneath the boss, and it's just gets flown away again. So looks like actually both the warriors end up dying, but that guy just dies because he's still rooted. You know, nobody's trying to help the guy. Nobody's commenting on it. Nobody's making any productive comments, not trying to improve the situation at all. And we're just going to freaking give up. I mean, that's actually insane. Literally giving up on the last boss. I mean, at any point, all anybody had to do was explain the mechanics of the tank and you finish this key, no problem. But yeah, people are going to actually disband on a 4 after wiping the bosses. Was that a cumulative of 5 times on a 4 tyrannical? Frustrating to watch. I mean, even I'm not even the key and I'm frustrated to watch this, to watch this go on, to watch all of these mistakes get made, and just like kind of the lack of communication, the lack of team atmosphere. I think ultimately, you know, without the tank's mistakes, this is probably a triple upgrade, but reality is it's a very, very easy solution to solve. And I don't know if people just have a mentality of it's like, it's not my problem to solve it. I'm not interested in helping. Like, I don't really understand. I don't really understand the situation here that you watch the tank just die to that over and over again and nobody says says anything. Maybe there's whispers, maybe something's going on, maybe I'm not aware of it, but I think, you know, we see a lot about why low keys are struggles right now for a lot of people. And, you know, kind of at the end of the day, it's just that person not being aware of what's going on, and it doesn't seem like anybody's interested in helping improve that team that they just formed, you know? I was just really shocked to see this, that they actually disband on this, and especially on a 4. I didn't think it would exist. I really didn't. And so if you guys are out there running keys and you're seeing something similar to this, let me know. I mean, I think this is a good example because it is still a 4 with a lot of failures, but realistically, almost every major failure point was because of a tank who was just not very aware of things and nobody was supporting him and improving. So if anybody out there especially is finding a key that's like genuinely failed, like not just one player is just holding everybody else back to a degree that they don't think they can continue, then yeah, definitely send that in, because I'm really interested in discussing this topic. I think this is a very interesting topic, and I don't know how you move forward as a company. Like, people continue to talk about things like, well, we need keys to either be easier, we need more something or other, we need less something or other, there shouldn't be depletes, all of these topics, but at the end of the day, you just have a tank who doesn't know the dungeon despite doing it before, and a group who's unwilling to help the tank. So like, what do you want Blizzard to do about that? I don't know. Let me know. Thank you for watching. We'll see you guys soon. I'll be streaming tomorrow and Tuesday. I don't normally stream on Mondays, but I will be streaming on Monday this week. I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to be doing with the Christmas stuff here, but I imagine I'm probably going to take multiple days off the rest of the week. So stay tuned. If I don't see you guys, we'll have a Merry Christmas together in spirit, and hope to see you guys for a really strong 2025, because I think nothing is about to change in terms of the craziness on this channel. Thank you for watching. We'll see you guys in the next one.